Just thinking about choices. Do they even matter anymore?
Depends on who's making the choice.
And we will.
What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLorean here with today a brand new video. Today what I want to do is break down the trailer we got for The Walking Dead Season 11 Part 2. Now, by the time you guys are seeing this video, today is the day Episode 8 drops, aka the first mid-season finale, concluding the first of 3 parts of Season 11 of The Walking Dead, which sounds really sad to think about, because The Walking Dead's ending after 3 parts, and this is concluding the first part already, and it feels like it's going by very quick. But what completely crushes that sadness is this really awesome trailer. So with that said and all of that out of the way, let's hop right into breaking down the trailer for The Walking Dead Season 11 Part 2. So the trailer opens with a shot of Alexandria, which looks to be in ruins after the massive storm and walker invasion that happened in Episode 8, which looks to have left Alexandria pretty destroyed again, because obviously in Episode 8 the storm completely wiped out the walls and everything, left tons of walkers roaming throughout Alexandria and everything, and what looks to be set afire to the windmill, since it seems to be smoking and everything. I haven't seen Episode 8 as I'm recording this video and everything, but I'm assuming the windmill will catch fire, telling by smoke coming off it and everything, and looking pretty charred and burned. And obviously in Episode 8, walkers will be invading, like, Alexandria and everything, and like there'll be a huge storm that destroys the walls and everything, telling by the massive amount of walkers that are laying dead around the Alexandria grounds. Next we get a shot of Daryl and everything as he's standing over the fire, I'm assuming burning some walker corpses. And like I said, I haven't seen Episode 8 and everything, so I don't know how Daryl gets back to Alexandria and everything, but it's really cool to see him back in Alexandria helping clean up after the huge walker invasion storm that happened in Episode 8. And I'm not sure which episode this is, and which episode he gets back to Alexandria and everything, whether if he escapes the Reapers in Episode 8 and everything, he gets right back to Alexandria, if there's some fights that go on in Episode 9 and everything. So I know they're not gonna just end the Reaper war in Episode 8 and everything. I know they're gonna continue it a little bit into Season 11 Part 2. We do get to see Daryl and a bunch of others sitting around a fire and everything, him and Father Gable, and I'm assuming Maggie and Negan. And this could be after the night of going towards the Reaper camps and everything, and all of them escaping, and then staying the night in this little camp and everything before they get back to on the road going back to Alexandria. And this does prove that Daryl will be leaving the Reapers. We then get to see Judith running up to Daryl and everything, reuniting with each other, since obviously Daryl hasn't seen Judith in a really long time. She's probably really happy to find out that he's alive. But we also do get to see a cart of food and supplies and everything, meaning that in Episode 8 most likely our characters will be able to get supplies from Meridian, showing that our characters will in some way get into the Reaper camp and be able to somewhat fend off against themselves enough to get crates of food and everything to bring back to Alexandria, which will be really huge for Alexandria and everything, and really help them out, since at the moment and everything before this whole food situation they were completely starving, destroyed, and hanging out by threads. So I'm assuming this cart of food would be really good for Alexandria and everything to finally have them bring back supplies. Next we see Maggie and Negan sitting down and everything, giving each other I'm not sure if they're acceptance glares or death stares and everything, but they definitely don't look too positive. And I'm assuming this is the night after the Reaper situation, where they're bunkering down at a camp and everything, trying to rest after that huge fight and everything in that situation. Telling by Negan and Maggie still having the Reaper, or not the Reaper, the Whisperer mask, black eyeshadow and everything around their eyes. So I'm assuming this is the night or the day after the fight and everything, and they're all going back to Alexandria but resting. Now next is where the trailer takes a completely huge turn. We get to see Jerry on the walls of Alexandria, I'm assuming defending, looking out for walkers and everything, trying to make sure the Reapers won't come and attack. But he looks at something off in the distance. Now what exactly is Jerry looking at? Well, the next shot we get to see it. We get to see a bunch of Commonwealth soldiers, some of them even pointing guns up and everything, I'm assuming at Jerry, since I'm assuming that's what Jerry was looking at, as these Commonwealth soldiers coming out on horseback and everything, and just coming over in general. And this pretty much is the first shot that confirms the Commonwealth in Season 11 Part 2 are coming to Alexandria, which is really cool. And we'll get to see further into this trailer that our group will get to interact more and more with the Commonwealth, which is really cool. Daryl meeting the Commonwealth, Maggie meeting the Commonwealth, and all of them just meeting each other in general. We get another shot of Gabriel and everything around the fire, of talking to Dale and everything about people choosing, making decisions and everything. And like I said, this is most likely the night after the fight and everything, one that's still going back to Alexandria, probably resting up. Next we get to see a bunch of Commonwealth soldiers breaching a building, which I'm not 100% sure why they're doing this yet. They could be searching for someone, I don't know. We then get to see Eugene and Lance Hornsby and everything in this weird looking building. I'm not sure if it's a factory or like a large like, you know, industrial building, or maybe even if it's like, you know, it could be the windmill in Alexandria, since it kind of looks like that. And since Eugene will most likely tell Lance like, you know, where Alexandria is and everything, I'm assuming him and Eugene will go back to Alexandria, and maybe this is Lance walking around in Alexandria and everything, which would be really interesting to see, like, you know, Lance meet a bunch of our characters. And this could be like, you know, Lance and Eugene inside like, you know, the windmill maybe, since that's like, you know, the thing I can think of the most is where this looks like. But Lance gives like, you know, like Eugene and everything a very scary, wide-eyed, like, you know, psycho look. Yet again, another really big shot. I think we can maybe see like Lance Hornsby. It looks like to be a Commonwealth dinner or anything, or a very fancy looking dinner, and I think maybe welcoming our new members, which would be really cool. Like, you know how the, like, you know, in season 6 of The Walking Dead, I think it was season 5 or anything, or season 5 or 6, I think when a group was coming to Alexandria for the first time, I think they hosted a huge party and dinner or anything for our group, but it was kind of minuscule. What if this is like a bigger party and dinner, and I think introducing our new, like, you know, group into like, you know, the Commonwealth? Like, imagine this being a huge dinner for like people like Daryl, Maggie, Yumiko, and all of our like, you know, people from Alexandria now into the Commonwealth, and having this huge dinner for them. But then Lance Hornsby says over the microphone that he would like to introduce everyone to Pamela Milton. This is our first official shot of Pamela Milton in action in season 11 of The Walking Dead, which is really, really cool. And she looks almost just like, actually not even almost, just she looks just like her comic book counterpart, which is really cool and everything. And I'm not sure if this is the first scene we'll get to see her in, but it's very cool nonetheless. And that should be showing up to this like, you know, dinner, which would make even more sense for our group to be at this dinner and everything from Alexandria. And then this is where they meet Pamela Milton and everything at this dinner, which if this is a dinner and like, you know, introduction for our group, and I think it'd be very interesting to see people like Daryl at that dinner and everything, since this is a very before apocalypse type, like, you know, world or like community and everything, and for Daryl to be interacting in that would be very interesting, especially seeing Maggie and all the other characters too. Next we get a scene we've all been waiting for a really long time, which is Daryl and like, you know, Rosita and our group and everything officially being face to face with the Commonwealth, or more so in front of Mercer, which is really cool and everything, to see Daryl meeting Mercer, which is a scene I've been waiting for a really long time, and Rosita and a bunch of other people from like, you know, Alexandria. And it looks like to be that they're around the Commonwealth locations and everything. This does look like to be a location around the Commonwealth that we've seen in previous episodes and everything, so this shows that like, you know, Alexandria will be brought to the Commonwealth, which is really cool. Daryl does seem to be dressed kind of pretty, you know, pretty clean, so I wonder if this is like, you know, after the Commonwealth have basically given Daryl some new clothes, and maybe this is before the dinner where Mercer is like, you know, introducing them all and everything and bringing them all in. We're then going to see Carol inside the Commonwealth communities and everything, looking very suspicious and looking around, which I can see why Carol's completely suspicious and everything, since every place they've been into before and everything except Alexandria has been a complete shit show. A good example would be Terminus, where everyone looked happy-go-lucky there and everything, and then it turned out they were cannibals, so I'm pretty sure she's pretty suspicious about the Commonwealth. But it's very cool to see Carol and everything. Looks like she has on like, you know, a new piece of clothing too, and I think that most likely the Commonwealth gave them for maybe that dinner. But it's very, very cool to see Carol in this like, you know, setting, and she probably seems very confused because this is like, you know, a complete new setting to her, which like I said looks very before apocalypse, where it's very clean and order and everything. We're gonna see Daryl in what looks to be the clothing that he was like in when he first met like, you know, Mercer, and that scene with Mercer. So I do wonder if this is him looking around like, you know, the Commonwealth community, since where he is right now looks pretty clean. So I do wonder why he's like searching through this area and like, you know, what he'll find, or like, you know, what he's looking for if he's even in the Commonwealth at this point. We then get to see Princess and Eugene, and the princess is in pretty bright clothing and everything, and Eugene and like, you know, that her and I think basically run into something, which I do wonder what they're running into, and maybe they're trying to escape. And I'm not gonna lie, Princess in this type of like, you know, clothing and everything makes me think that this is like, you know, maybe her running from the dinner and everything, her and Eugene running from the dinner, them being introduced. I know we keep bringing up this dinner aspect a lot and everything, but it does make sense that they would have this huge dinner to introduce our group and everything. It'll be a really cool scene in my opinion. Next we get to see that one Reaper and everything that really, you know, really did not like Daryl, and Daryl didn't like him either, walking through a building, which I do wonder if this is the building that the Commonwealth breach into. Maybe like, you know, Daryl told them about the like, you know, the Reapers and everything, told the Commonwealth about the Reapers, and then like, you know, the Commonwealth go to finish off the Reapers, which would make a lot of sense. It would be really cool in my opinion, but I do wonder why we're just getting this shot of this one Reaper, showing that he will make it out of like, you know, episode 8 and I think in season 11 part 1, and that he will not be killed in episode 8, which is definitely very interesting. I do wonder why they're showing him. Next we get to see Maggie back on the walls of Alexandria, which is, I don't know why this shot really hits me, because it's been a really long time. Like in season 6 and 5 and I think 7 also, she spent a lot of time on the walls of like, you know, the not the Commonwealth, Alexandria and the hilltop, and it just feels, it just hits differently and everything. It feels really interesting and like, you know, almost like nostalgia of seeing her back tracking Alexandria on the walls and looking over the community, but telling by this, like, very blurred out thing. And I think this looks to be Maggie looking at like a Commonwealth soldier, or maybe as they're entering, maybe the Commonwealth are trying to talk to Maggie and everything, and Daryl and like, Jerry trying to get in, which will be really cool to see Maggie interact with like, some Commonwealth soldiers and even look at them. And as the final shots of this trailer, basically get a shot of Leah and everything, which is, like I said, seeing that one Reaper earlier was really weird. Now seeing Leah here is even weirder, showing that yet again she and that other Reaper will make it out of episode 8 and everything in season 11 part 1, showing the Reapers maybe will still be a threat, because obviously in episode 8 we do get to see Maggie and a lot of other people like Negan and everything entering like, Meridian to kill the Reapers. So I'm assuming after episode 8 there won't be many Reapers left, so I do wonder if they'll still be a threat, or if these Reapers will maybe try to join our group, which I can't see the guy that Daryl didn't really like that much joining the group, since obviously, they don't like each other. That guy's still kind of a threat. Also, I did want to kind of draw back to that shot of Eugene and Lance and everything inside of like, maybe the windmill in Alexandria. I don't know why, I kind of got this thought that this is maybe the moment in like, from the comics when like, Lance and Eugene are talking at Alexandria, just like kind of Rick and Pamela Milton were at Alexandria in the comics, and Lance Hornsby and like Eugene were discussing their kind of different ideologies, or Rick and Pamela were just discussing their like, different ideologies on like, government and all that stuff. And then maybe this is where Eugene tells Lance and everything that maybe we need a new world order, and then that's when like, Lance looks at Eugene crazy-eyed. I don't know, that's just a thought or anything, but that was the trailer for The Walking Dead season 11, like, part 2 and everything. This trailer featured a ton of insane stuff and everything. Like I said, like the Commonwealth coming to Alexandria, our characters going to the Commonwealth and everything, and maybe even having a dinner like, for them and everything, where they introduced Pamela Milton. And just in general, it was really interesting and cool seeing our characters inside the Commonwealth and meet the Commonwealth in general, and the Commonwealth coming to Alexandria. And meeting Pamela Milton was really, really cool, and seeing her like, in action for the first time in season 11, just seeing her in action for the first time in The Walking Dead in general, because she's a really big character in the Commonwealth arc and everything. So is Lance Hornsby, so is like, Mercer, so is like, her bastard son Sebastian. But that was the trailer, and I think it was really, really awesome in my opinion. Got me hyped. I was really surprised when I saw it. But yeah, that was all for today. Anything in like, my breakdown for The Walking Dead season 11 part 2 trailer and everything. Make sure to comment down below what you guys are most excited to see going into The Walking Dead season 11 part 2. Are you guys most excited to see the Commonwealth interacting with Alexandria, like coming to Alexandria? Are you most excited to see our group going to like, the Commonwealth, because that would be really cool? Are you most excited to see like, Pamela Milton or anything, her being introduced? And I can't wait to see Pamela Milton interacting with our group and everything with Sebastian, or like, Pamela Milton interacting with Sebastian, because that would be really cool in my opinion to see like, mother like, interacting with son, especially these two characters, how Pamela Milton's kind of calm and then Sebastian's like a little bastard, as seen in episode 7 or anything. God, that kid's such a little shit. But yeah, make sure to comment down below what you guys are most excited to see and everything. I'll make sure to link this trailer down below, which I do highly recommend you go check it out, I think, since like I said, it is awesome and really cool. But yeah, that was all for today. Then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more latest in the Walking Dead universe stuff, like breakdowns, theories, and reviews and stuff like that. Also, I'm planning on like, since it's very late into The Walking Dead, like, season 11, and I haven't even released my episode 2 review out or anything for The Walking Dead season 11, I feel like I'm gonna release a full part 1 review instead of doing individual reviews, since I'm so behind and everything. I just want to catch up. I do plan on getting like, my episode 1 like, review out and everything, my episode 2 review out for The Walking Dead will be on pretty soon. And also, before the video didn't end, I did want to thank you guys for all the support and everything you guys have been giving on the channel, and thank you guys for like, getting like, so many subscribers and everything. I think we're at 687 and everything, so thank you guys so much for that, and I think it does really mean a lot. And yeah, that was all for today. Thanks. See you guys later. Peace out, my amigos, and peace out.